This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the real shit involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. We also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation. So tonight, it's the 18th of January. It's time for the January and the first roundtable of 2020. We have our panel tonight, and everyone brings 3 questions to the panel involving paranormal, supernatural, conspiracy, and current events. So hold on your seats. So tonight with us we have Wegleitner, our co-host, Kayla Wegleitner, our researcher, Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, Nikki Jacobs, psychic and member of the UFO I-Team, and Don Davidson from our California consultant. So, how's everyone doing tonight? What?
Slow down there.
We're doing good.
I'm ready to roll. So folks, for the last damn week, we've been dealing with snow. And I know you've had it worse than we have, Dave. But we had 1.5 feet of snow upriver here, and just wow. And now it's raining. Like it's raining.
Give me your phone.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Ooh, hold on, folks. Hold on. Ooh, we're moving. There. Okay. So here at the studio, yeah, we're always moving around and busy as we do the show, but that's okay. So yeah, we're staying warm, but now it's raining real hard, and it's supposed to rain all week, and so what's that bring? Flooding! Yay. Which is why we need flood rescue trucks. Yeah, I know the damn Bearcat's too expensive, but I like the Bearcat, damn it.
Hey, Tim. Nice to see you.
So we have to give a real quick shout out to Slovenia. We have a listener in Slovenia. I love giving shout outs to listeners that are in countries that I don't see on in our geo map too often. And of course Ireland. I mean, yeah, we have global listeners that are awesome. We love our listeners because without listeners we wouldn't have S4. That's just the bottom line. I know you're the same way. Ain't you with Spaced Out Radio, Dave?
Absolutely, my friend. And it's always nice when you see where the listeners come from. That is for sure.
Well, it's always, I remember we had a listener in Vietnam. I'm like, holy shit, really? They have internet in Vietnam? And yeah, it amazes me every time I look at the geo map where our listeners come from. It's awesome. I gotta catch my breath
Fantastic.
So tonight is Roundtable. We were gonna do Fire in the Sky and basically movies that involve abduction, and we're gonna move that to next week because it's the third week of the month, the third Saturday of the month, which means it's Roundtable, and we love Roundtable. Roundtable is where we actually kick back. We don't have to do any research. We don't have to do any thinking. We just ask each other questions. And it's fun. We just sit back here with our coffee and our cigarettes and smoke and joke. And it's always a good time. So, let's start off with Don. Because I know Don's got his 3 questions ready to roll. So what's your first question for the panel tonight, Don?
This is kind of almost a little bit political, but what do you think is going to happen in 2020, like in the election period? Is it going to be brutal or is it going to be like civilized? Oh. I think I know the answer from that.
Has it ever really been civilized?
Yes, actually.
I,
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think 2016 was the most brutal I've seen. I mean, they're always brutal. They are. And I say brutal because the Democrats screwed over Bernie right from the beginning.
oh, hell yeah.
You know, right from the beginning.
I would have voted for him.
Well, no, but right from the beginning, the Democrats shot themselves in the foot with the only candidate that probably had a chance of beating Trump. To be completely honest with you, if you don't rule in the fact that did Russia really meddle with the affairs? Is anybody going to really know the damn truth? Not really. I mean, come on now. And you know, Ashley and I were talking about this today, and what happened to the war with Iran? That was her question to me. Because, you know, my entire Facebook feed is really where I get my news from. I don't watch news. I don't watch news. I hate watching news. I get pissed off watching news. So, yeah, all of a sudden we're going to war, World War III going on with Iran, and all of a sudden it's gone. And now we're back to impeachment. I don't pay attention. I'm done paying attention. Because it gets so angering on both sides. I don't like the Democrats or the Republicans. And the minute I say that, I get attacked from the Republicans saying, well, what did the Republicans do wrong? Really? You're going to ask me that? Seriously? No. Both sides are just as corrupt. Both sides are just as stupid. You know, but we need a third-party system. That's the bottom line.
You know what? I actually saw one of the worst things I've seen in a while, and it was two friends lose a 20-year friendship because they somehow turned the fact that the state was a little bit rough on plowing roads and a little bit late on getting started, and turned it into a political thing of Democrats versus Republicans.
I don't even know how that happened. It was ridiculous.
Well, so if you look at today, they're attacking Governor Inslee because he didn't declare a state of emergency, and I agree. He should have declared a state of emergency. You had a whole neighborhood, a whole community of that was stuck, that couldn't get, and I'm sure you've heard that, Nikki, but a whole community that could not get in or out because of the storms. Should have been and would have been a state of emergency.
Yeah, but he's still whining because he got a 0.0 in the polls.
Well,
he got an absolute zero.
That's where the problem lies. He stopped giving a damn, if he ever gave a damn, about the Washington people that he worked for, and focused all his attention on becoming the next president. Which he had no...
But nobody realized that also that no one in Washington obviously likes him.
No.
So what's the point? Why would you care then?
Well, now he's just shooting himself in the... He's not going to be the next governor.
No.
There's no way in hell he's going to be the next governor. You know, whether you're a
But
Democrat...
looking at your approval polls after that, what happened in the debate, yeah, I'd agree. He already knew that.
He shot himself in the foot with that. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I don't even think the Democrats like Inslee anymore, to be honest with you. But, so, getting to your question, is November of 2020 going to be nasty? Yes, it is. And I've said this on many posts before. It doesn't really matter. Our voting does not matter anymore. Because if Trump wins, you're going to have the far left going, oh my God, it was all tainted. He didn't really win. And there's going to be a civil war. Maybe. If Trump loses, you're going to see the far right going, oh my God, it was tainted. No, this didn't really happen. This is a fraud, and there's going to be riots, there's going to be chaos, and maybe a civil war. Is there really going to be a civil war? I don't know. I can't predict that shit. But
yes,
either way, there's going to be chaos. So it really doesn't matter who wins now. They've made that perfectly obvious.
Dave, how do you think this is going to affect Canada?
We got our own moron up here that we need to worry about.
So are you going to be sitting there in November with popcorn watching the news?
Oh, absolutely I am. I always am a little uncomfortable talking politics because it's become such an irrational topic between people that I think it's really, really sad that we cannot have healthy debate about politics anymore. And we got to figure out a way to get back there, because, you know, the one thing that affects us all is the political leaders that we are electing. It doesn't matter whether you're in the United States. It doesn't matter whether you're in Canada. You know, it's like, if you don't have a side, you are just a moron. And if you're not on the right side, which who knows what the hell the right side is anymore.
Nope.
You are just an idiot. And I think it's become very disgusting. I think it's become very disturbing. All right. I mean, I've seen good people attacked for no reason because they want to support Trump. I've seen people attacked for no reason because they don't support Donald Trump. And, you know, I'll tell you what I'm more worried about. I'm more worried about finding a politician that's going to have the balls and the decency to start calling some of these people out who are trying to foreshadow the freedoms of things like freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You know, I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter what country you're in. If you're in a free country, a democratic country, you should be able to say what you want. Those laws are not there to protect the innocent who don't make those stupid mistakes. They're there to prevent the stupid from becoming even or allowing the stupid to even have an opinion. All right, and a lot of people may not agree with that these days, but that's what the laws are for, is to protect that freedom of expression, that freedom of being able to say what you want, how you want it. Now, of course, that comes with some guidelines, because you can't allow the racist morons out there to get what they want, all right? But you have to allow dialogue these days. You do. We've forgotten how to create and have a humane conversation and solve issues. That being said, the politicians have done it to themselves. And until the politicians start to wake up, which they don't have to, because they're being paid off by lobbyists. I mean, how else do you explain to a politician who goes into the government, very, very, middle class type income, and walks out of there with $20 million in his bank account that he has to disclose? That just doesn't happen in the real world. And until that we start taking a stance on that type of garbage and people who are affecting the way a country is run and affecting the people who are there, we're going to continue to have these type of issues. Now, for those who are, and I'm not going to sit here and state what my political ranking is or whatever. Actually, I will. I would say on the Canadian side, I'm what you call a conservative. Okay, but the conservative up here is different from the conservative down there. Our conservative party here is very much, I guess it would be the equivalent of the Libertarian Party down there. Okay, if that makes any sense. We still want our full health care. We still want education. The military isn't a priority. People should be a priority. But I'll tell you what's happening up here. You guys have down there, and you got me on a friggin' rant here.
It's okay.
You guys down there you have one extreme down there. We have the other extreme up here. Okay, where political correctness, which I think has its place and merit, okay, but it's gone too far. Okay, you just have to go back a few years to the whole people kind BS that when Trudeau was lecturing a young lady. Okay, we're talking the government. The government will not go into a community to hire construction workers until a gender study is done on the effects that gender will have on how gender may or may not disrupt the community if it's a crew of a couple hundred men that are working. I mean, this is the delusions that we are dealing with up here. It's disgusting. I think it creates an atmosphere of tension that is not needed, and that's the climate and the crap that we need to get away from, because it's troubling. And until we do, America, you have, I'm not saying I'm a Donald Trump fan. I'm not saying whatever, but you have no idea what the other side is like, and do yourself a favor, stay away from the other side. Yeah. The other thing that I quickly want to say too, if you don't mind, since you guys got me started here, is
we're not done. Wait till my questions come in.
Oh yes. Now you made me forget what I was going to say. No, but you have to understand, okay, that wanting health care for a nation, and that's something I don't understand, okay? Because up here, yes, we get taxed a lot of money for our health care, but I like having health care. I like knowing that I can go into any hospital in the country and get treatment. All right? I like that. That makes me feel good. I think that is what we call a good tax. There are good taxes, and then there are bad taxes. Example of a bad tax, Trudeau's carbon tax that puts 2 cents on every dollar for no reason, and they can't explain where that money is going. All right? But on the flip side, I'm tired of hearing that if you have an opinion that you're racist or you're I don't know where this terminology of Nazi came out. Okay, we've had that come up in Canadian politics. You hear it all the time in the U.S. People of today's age, you have no frigging clue what a Nazi was or is. Do your history. Do your homework. Okay, it's not a term that you throw around just because you don't agree with somebody politically. Now, that being said, to all the Republicans out there, all right, just because somebody wants health care put in doesn't mean that they're communist. It doesn't mean that they don't like freedom, that they don't like guns, that they don't like, everything that is supposed to be good about America. All right? So there's my rant. I'm just going to bow out now.
No, I totally agree with you, Dave. Like living on both sides of the fence, as I have. When I used to pay taxes, taxes could be brutal sometimes. But at the same time, it wasn't that bad. Now getting that hospital bill every time I go in, I'm actually scared half the time to go to the hospital here.
Oh yeah, it is that bad.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I had bronchitis for 4.5 months over the summer last year. Okay, my doctor pumped me full of meds. I couldn't imagine what that would have cost down there. I remember showing Everett Thiemer my medical bill, okay, for my medication. I think it equaled out to $38. And I was stunned that it was that much.
Yeah.
Damn.
Right? Like,
I wish our
like
shit
for
was that cheap.
Well, you know what though? But like I said, you get what you pay for.
Right.
Okay, we're taxed to the hilt over that. But you know what? Like I said, it's not about the tax. There are good taxes and there are bad taxes. Healthcare, in my opinion, is a good tax.
Absolutely.
I have no problem paying a healthcare tax. And I don't care if it's for me. I don't care if it's for somebody, okay, like you guys in America. You come up here, if something happens, if you get sick or you get in a car accident and you need treatment, you know what? In my eyes, that's okay. Pay for the damn thing. Okay, and I'm saying my taxes pay for that damn thing, and I'm good with that. You know why? Because we're people. Mm-hmm. We're people, and we deserve to be healthy. I find it absolutely the most ironic thing that I find about the United States is how on your dollar bill you have "In God We Trust," yet the doctors and the bill collectors are allowed to play God with your life.
Yeah.
True.
So who's God?
Absolutely.
Who's God?
Nikki, what's your thoughts? What's going to happen in 2020?
Well, let me respond to something David said. I had a cousin who nearly died, born and raised in Canada. And because he worked for an American company and because of who he was in that company, they were able to transfer him down to the United States. And he is going to freaking throttle me for even talking about this. Point being, saved his life because otherwise, with the medical care that he got there, everything else was fine medically, except for this one thing where they wanted to make him wait something like 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks to get crucial surgery. Trying to use my words very, very carefully. And basically, the doctors told him, you cannot wait that long. I don't even think you've got a couple of days. And they airlifted him, his company airlifted him and his family into the States where they, I can't remember exactly where what state the surgery was held in. And it was done and taken care of. And they went in and took care of it. And in the process, they found out that, yeah, you didn't have but basically 24 hours. So in that regards, I disagree regarding the medical. However, I agree with everything else you said. Simply because I know that the medical is, I mean, if you need something, you got it. Except when it comes for situations like that. And that's where I take issue with it. But other than that, I think it's great. The political stuff, I completely agree with you. I'm so freaking fed up with all the crap. Because you can't say bullshit one about anything without it becoming a fight or some stupid argument that means diddly. And people, I've been finding out that I've got friends who are very vocal about politics, but they're doing it in such a way to where it's not like in your face, but other people are taking it to the extreme. And I'm like, oh my God, seriously, that's not what they were talking about. And if you knew the person well enough, like I know this couple very well, and I'm like, wow, that's, how can you say something like that? But I'm not going to get in the mix of it because it's not worth my time, energy, and effort. I mean, I've got my own opinions, but oh my God. Okay, now, in answer to your question, Eric, oh boy. This is a touchy, sliding slope. You're talking to a psychic who's had visions of this shit for some time, and I didn't understand what some of it was until, oh gosh, sometime last year. I've had premonitions of a civil war in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's the first time I'm actually talking about this publicly in this way. I didn't believe in the beginning when Trump first entered, I don't mean entered politics, but became president, that it was him. It wasn't until last year that I had another premonition, and the premonition changed a bit from the one that I had years past. And this one was directly related to him. I do not know how or exactly in what way, but he's building it. And it's been building for some time, and we've all been seeing it and watching it.
So I want to add real quick, I'm like in part 2 of a documentary from Frontline. So some say, oh, Frontline's are radical. Frontline's, they just pushing the drama. But you can push drama all you want. But when they're actually showing when they're actually showing the videos of Trump and what he's saying, and Obama what he's saying, and they actually have the political advisors that were on both sides, and they're now former political advisors because they left. Well, one, because Obama's not the president anymore. But I'll post a link later But it's a 4-hour documentary that I think everyone needs to watch because it actually shows the buildup of division, starting back with Obama. And it wasn't Obama that necessarily created the division. It was Obama because, face it, he was the first black president. And that's where a lot of that division came from. It started the division. Obama couldn't get a lot of stuff he wanted to get done because the GOP blocked him on every front. And they came out and said they were going to block him on every front. They didn't hide that fact. They said they weren't going to allow him to do anything. They said that on camera. That's where the damn division comes from. When you have two parties that will not work together in the benefit of the public, of the benefit of the country, that's where you should. That's where it needs to be directed. You're no good. You're no good to this country if you're not here for the people of the country. That's the bottom line. So then you bring in Trump, who hated Obama right from the beginning, and the division just got bigger. Anyway, go ahead.
And I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm not going to agree or disagree with it. But psychically, what I have seen and have intuitively felt, it's whatever he does, it's coming. Whatever he does, it's a major trigger. I have no idea exactly what it is, but I know it stems directly to Trump. Mm-hmm. And it is a direct correlation, well, not correlation, it is directly from Trump. There is something that causes it. I don't know if it's a war or exactly what it is. I just know what I have seen in visions and what I have felt at certain times when I have seen him speak. Mm-hmm. And when you get a psychic hit when somebody that you're watching on TV or on whatever media you're watching it on, and it hits you really hard, it's like, holy crap, that's not good. That's not going to be good for a lot of people. So I personally, I can't stand Trump. Can't stand any of them, mm-hmm. to be blunt.
No.
And not going to say which way I'm going. Haven't decided myself. But I mean, I'm not going to say if I'm Republican or Democrat. But I know this. If I'm getting repeated psychic hits and repeated psychic visions, because believe me, I sure as hell do not want those. But I'm receiving them, and in living color. Thank you very much. Yeah, not a favorite topic of mine.
All right, well, Dawn, I think in answer to your question for everyone, it's going to be a shit show.
Yep. And I'm going to write in Captain Marvel for president.
Captain Marvel.
Yep. I'm going to write in Captain Marvel. The first woman president.
Don't do that.
Why not?
This is how you end up with Mickey Mouse for president, and all of a sudden Disney actually is running the world, okay? Stop it.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Really?
The fact that Captain
all right,
Marvel
Nikki, what's your first question tonight?
Oh, it's what do you guys think of what went on in New Salem, Washington regarding a dig regarding the Upper Skagit Indian Tribe culture site? Excuse me.
You know, I just read something about that tonight, so I'm really not familiar with it. If you could enlighten us, I know any kind of a cultural dig, there is supposed to be a state and tribal representative to oversee that dig.
Well, National Park Service is basically, the tribe is basically looking for justice. I read up on it tonight mostly because it was something that was bugging me. There was something gnawing at me about it, and I started writing up some notes. And as I did, I started getting little quotations from Spirit and my spirit guides, and I didn't know what you guys had heard or thought about it, what your viewpoints are on it, and all of that.
Hey, yeah, and again, I just saw something posted about that tonight. You got any thoughts on
Nothing.
that?
I got nothing. I don't know anything about it.
No, but okay. So in general, if there's a tribal cultural location, who is responsible for approving a dig? You would know more than
No.
Well, there is a whole demographic of people within the tribe that also have to say yay or nay to
the
it.
Forestry Service has no say on that, though.
They don't.
If it's got cultural artifacts in it.
Okay.
Okay, here's the deal. I am a Native American. I don't agree. I'm sorry. Honestly, we screwed up. We accepted blankets from the white man. We bit the bullet on that one. There's not much we can do, honestly, at this point. So who gives permission for us to dig up dinosaur bones?
Scientists. I don't know.
Who gives us permission to dig up things in China?
The state, does it not?
No, to be perfectly
If
honest,
you go to
anybody
China
can
and you
go
would do a
around
dig
and
on their land, who do you get permission from?
Well, that's China.
Who do you get permission from, though?
I don't know.
The emperor.
Imagine it would be.
You get permission directly from the emperor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do that, the thing is, has China always had the same borders?
Mm-hmm.
No.
A lot of those areas might be Mongolian.
Very good point.
Honestly, at this point in time, we honestly have to get over that fact. As long as the land and the artifacts are treated with respect,
True.
I honestly think opinions aren't needed other than on reservation true land.
And
Because the treaty still is enacted there. But other than that, if it's not on treaty land, then...
And I don't think that land is it'd be Soxhuatl land, if anybody. And I don't believe Soxhuatl goes that far. No.
Now, if it's reservation land, then you ask permission not of the elders, but directly of the chief. That's the chief's decision.
What I kept reading was Upper Skagit Indian Tribe. That's what I kept reading in all the articles. Same information in all the articles, but it kept saying Upper Skagit Indian Tribe.
Upper Skagit is fairly sparse. They have
a checkerboard reservation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like
they don't have one big chunk of land. They have many tiny ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fascinating. Did not know that.
If you give me about a week there, Nikki, I can talk to a couple of people and give you a really good answer on that one.
Right. Yeah, so I know a couple.
They need to. Excuse me. They need to know that. God dang it, my throat. Sorry. Excuse me. They need to know the psychic hits that I got off of it.
Okay, one of my friend's grandmothers is one of the elders of the Upper Skagit tribe.
Generalized, okay? It's not super specific. It's not specific at all. It's generalized. But these are exact quotes that were given to me by spirit guides, okay? The perps were trying to find something, quote, very specific. I don't know what yet. I may not ever know, but if I'm told, I should have a contact as to who the hell it should go to. They didn't care that it's against the law. Quote, they want exactly what they want and will go at any length to get it. Get it or them. I was first told it, IT, and then I was told them. So I'm assuming that the perps are going after, It's real specific. And the other psychic impression I got was they may possibly go after other sites. So in other words, other cultural burial sites need to start putting in my personal opinion, based on this psychic hit, they need to start putting guards around, like more guards than what they do, if they do at all, around their cultural sites. Because somebody's looking for something real specific, and they're going to go to whatever lengths they can.
Huh. I'll track that, because I have a couple people at Sox I can talk to as far as that goes, and they're closer.
Yeah, and tell them to go back and listen to this segment, because that's the information.
Okay.
But I didn't know if you guys had heard anything about it or knew anything.
No, I just saw the original post tonight, so I don't know nothing about it yet. Okay, Dave, what's your first question tonight?
All right. I don't know how many of you out there have seen the paranormal docu-series called Hellier. That's with Greg and Dana Newkirk and Carl Pfeiffer, Tyler Strand, and Connor Randall. So basically, it's a 2-season series so far. It came out last year, and it's about the strange emails that were received by Greg Newkirk starting in 2012, and the investigation that has followed up since then in regards to this topic. And if you haven't seen the series, I highly suggest you go on YouTube or Amazon and check it out. It is a free series, so you don't have to worry about paying for it or anything like that, but it is extremely, extremely well done, in my opinion. My question to you guys in regards to all of this, whether or not you've seen Hellier, is a little bit irrelevant to this question, but still makes sense nonetheless. And that is, we have griped and complained about paranormal television for, well, pretty much since it started. And with Hellier, I think a lot of us have learned that there is a lot of great interest and intrigue in the stories that are being told and the mysteries that follow. So my question to the panel is this: what do we have to do to bring those type of stories, those type of mysteries back to the paranormal, which attract people, attract viewers, attract listeners, rather than doing the same old BS each and every time, which is listening to ghost stories and did you hear that? Did you see that? Whoa, what was that? And all they're doing is turning up the volume. All right, which I am pretty much sick of, and I know many people are. So what do we got to do differently to bring respectability and more stories to the paranormal rather than the same old crap? Because I'll tell you, watching certain people out there and certain groups out there who their only job is to what's the word I'm looking for? Their only job is to go into a place and say whether or not it's haunted. To me, that's not paranormal. No. That's not anything paranormal whatsoever. You're not solving anything. I want stories. I want something that's going to make me think and go, wow, you got to be crapping me right now. That is incredible.
I have the answer.
And that is something that we don't have.
I have the answer, Dave. Do you know what the scariest thing on TV in the 90s was?
Robert Stack?
Yes. Get him to narrate it.
First off, that'd be kind of hard since he's dead. But
yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
I'm pretty sure there might be a few paranormal teams that could make it happen.
Well,
Robin Williams seems
and that would even be more scary.
So you know.
To be perfectly honest,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. We aren't are we pushing the paranormal enough to bring that type of interest and intrigue and mystery to the field? Or are we sitting back on our laurels and just saying, oh, let's go ghost hunting because it's a Saturday night and we got nothing more to do?
No, because they're weekend warriors, just like you said in your blog. They're weekend warriors, and all they do is go to the same old spot. So let's go to let's go to Northern State. Northern State's great if you just want to get something, but is that advancing the paranormal? No, it's not at all. Because if it's already a known haunted spot, then what are you doing? Ooh, you're getting an orb. Ooh, you're getting an apparition. Ooh, you might get something to talk to you. That's not advancing shit.
But what I'm saying is Dave, you're right. We need to switch it from 4 people walking into a building and saying, oh, this is what's happening. This is haunted. There you go. Because honestly, when it comes down to it, those shows only hold like an average person's interest for about 4 to 5 episodes, and it's the same crap, so they leave. Mm-hmm. If you change the format of a paranormal television show to actually get into the unsolved mysteries type, that held people's interests for 10 years.
That's what I'm saying.
It could actually get people thinking enough to actually start looking into it.
What I'm saying is you have to bring in the research part of it. You have to have fact. You have to have document. You have to have research. Think of all of the shows that kept people's interest for that many seasons. You got Helliard, which is definitely going strong. You got Ancient Aliens. Different things like this that are not your typical paranormal show. Mm-hmm. What they are is their fact, their research. They are specialists in whatever form they need a specialist in. And they go through history and point out different things that have happened and different lead-ups to. And that's where your stories come in. It's got to be more of a documentary basis.
Okay, what were you saying, Nikki?
The other thing, well, I was agreeing with Cole, and I agree with Kayla on that. The other thing is that I was going to add to that was you need some kind of hardcore writing campaign to say, change your bleeping format. Because writing campaigns do serious shit. Takes them a little bit, but when you start getting enough people writing in saying, we're sick of this crap, change your format. Do it in a documentary style. Do it in whatever style. Because we're sick of this. It is boring.
What do you think, Don?
And I think that's the way to get it changed, unfortunately.
No, I agree. I fully agree. I agree with all the comments so far. What's your thoughts, Don?
I'm kind of agreeing with everybody. I follow a lot of Ghost Adventures just for laughs, but yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's on TV. I like the Ancient Aliens because of the documentary style, and I just, as far as holding my interest, I usually fall asleep to most of them. So I look for, this is when I watch them. It's like sometimes I find good things. Mm-hmm. And 99% of the time, I'm like, well, it's made for TV, so it's not. They could very well have a parabolic mic, and you may not hear it on the boom mic, but they pick up someone whispering in the back. So it's kind of hard to believe.
That's why you need a narrator like Robert Stack who can hold someone's interest to the point where, like, honestly, for example, a UFO abduction show. Like, let's say they did all aspects of the paranormal and they followed that for one episode. That narrator should have you crapping your pants by about halfway through the show, to the point where you kind of want to turn it off, but you can't because you want to know what happens.
So Area 51, or no, not everyone, Hangar 1 used to be, it was based on MUFON files. And it was, from what I saw, pretty accurate. It was documentary, but it was obviously theatrical as well, but it was all alien abduction. And I think they lasted one season and they went off the air.
But who picked it up?
I don't remember. I really don't.
That's the big thing, too. Where do probably about half, if not more, of the population see their mainstream TV that they watch in primetime?
Mm-hmm.
CBS, ABC.
I think if they got away from the ratings factor, because if it's a valid show and it's going to keep people's interest, you don't have to worry about spoofing shit up to make ratings. It's going to make ratings on its own. But the more you fake it, you're going to have some that think it's all education and, oh my God, it's real, because they don't know better. And I get that. But get away from trying to prove your ratings, because if it's a valid enough show, it's going to have ratings all by itself. The other
that's
thing
easy to say, though. That's easy to say, though, Eric.
Right.
You know, it really is. And however, there is multi-million-dollar decisions being made on these shows. Mm-hmm. I know people who have been on the numerous shows, and they're not paid very well. Okay, now some are okay. Like a guy like Zach Bagans is making a lot of dough off of this.
Yeah.
He really is making a lot of dough, and good on him for it. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Okay, but you take someone, okay, who just gets a spot appearance, like I've done a spot appearance for a Discovery Channel show. All right, I think I got paid nothing.
Cool.
All right, I didn't even have my gas paid for on the way down.
Right.
But I'm okay with that because the exposure that it gave me was showing my ugly mug on the show, and then with / spaced out radio, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I needed in order to do that. So the point that I'm getting at here is when you know, it's great to say that we're not doing this for ratings or anything like that, but there's a reality to it, because the ratings are what drives the money, or whether or not the show continues.
Right.
And they're not, networks aren't interested because of the big money that's involved. They're not interested in doing something because it's a feel-good story. If we did, Little House on the Prairie would still be on the air. All right. I mean, that's just the way it is. But when it comes to the real dollars and cents portion of it, they have no care in the world for what you, me, or anybody thinks. They are all there for how much money can we rape and pillage out of the advertisers who are making this happen. That's why you see a lot of people, Eric, turning towards YouTube and other online channels like that, because they have more control than some studio head saying, well, you know, maybe put some fish line here and rig something up here in the caves.
Yeah,
exactly. Or kick a rock or something. All right. That's why the YouTube platform is becoming so mainstream, if we put it that way, because of that BS that's going on. So there's this big conundrum, and the networks eventually will have to cave, because places like Netflix and YouTube and other online sharing forums like that are making and forcing the decisions to be made now.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
In that case, if we're talking about changing up forums, if we're talking about just dollars and cents or awareness of everything, wouldn't taking something like, let's say, true ghost stories, okay, true spirit stories, and making it into a role play video game, okay, bring people into that world and awareness of that world, but in a way that they relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we're looking at the wrong media.
Maybe.
Are you though?
I think the other thing we look at is so ghost stories are great, but get around urban legends. Get around cultural stories. Get around Native American lore. You don't see those shown too much. Everything is all about ghosts and spirits.
And that's a good point. Okay, here's the show that I would love if I was going in front of an executive director or producer of a network, and they came to me and they say, Dave, what kind of show would you like to do? What I want to know is, okay, there's all these beautiful little small towns that are out there, okay, and every town has a story. Every town does. Whether it's a ghost story, a monster story like Bigfoot, there's the stories that are there. I want to know, or I want to see somebody take it by storm and bring out some of those stories. There's a lot of great stories out there that are not being told because we aren't getting the proper questions. Instead, we're going to all these haunted locations and having people tell us, oh, this is haunted or that isn't haunted. Well, no kidding, you moron. No kidding. Isn't that the reason why you're there, is because it's haunted?
Right.
Right? So that's kind of where I'm at on everything. I think that we need to be able to do more as ghost hunters. And the other thing, too, that I love about Hellier is it's forcing people to change the way they investigate. So if you haven't seen Hellier yet, do yourself the favor, go on YouTube, watch it. At first, you're going to think, my God, this is boring, or it may not be your style or whatever, but give it time. Rewatch it again. And by the time you're finished, you're going to be like, everything that you've thought about the paranormal is in that show. Go watch it.
I'll check it out this week. I'll definitely check it out this week. And we're getting close to our first break. This first hour flew. It always does for Roundtable. It's great. And I just want to interject, if you're listening locally, don't forget, tomorrow, 4 p.m., at the Concrete Community Center is our first 2020 community meeting for January.
It is also the grand opening for Zip Refund in Darrington.
It is the grand opening for Helen Cooper's Zip Refund at 1080 Darrington Street in Darrington. And even if you're listening to the archives later on KSVU, she's open Wednesday through Sunday.
With coffee and snacks.
In Darrington. And hopefully we'll be here in Concrete next year. We just couldn't get the location.
Pie, but she didn't want to get pie.
So
I wanted to get pie.
You want to go, no, we don't. No, we ain't putting pie in the tack shop.
I'd be there every day.
And so, as we're wrapping up the first hour, Dave, UFO Hunters, I thought was one of the best UFO shows out there with Bill Burns.
Yes.
And, when you get a good show that, I guess, according to Bill, was too close to the truth, it gets frustrating. Because that was a good show. That was a valid show. And,
I would agree. I know, Eric, I know where you're going with that, and I think you're right on aspect, okay? But there is an entertainment value. Now, Bill Burns, for people who don't know, he came out and said that during one of their shoots over by Area 51 or Dugway, someplace like that, they were visited by the Men in Black, who said, you could say whatever you want, Bill, this is your last episode, which didn't make sense because they were at the top of their game, and they were number one in the ratings on cable, and he believes that a Man in Black came in and shut down the entire shoot and the entire show because they were too close to learning something, so to speak, that they shouldn't have been learning because they were pushing the envelope pretty hard. Now, there has been some people out there who say that's just Bill wanting the attention, so on and so forth. But there's other people out there who've said, no, this is true. This is exactly what happened. I've talked to other people there as well who've confirmed that. So you never know with what the truth is anymore in this field. That's what sucks about it.
I agree.
That's what really sucks about it. But, I like to believe that there was something really cool that happened. And, maybe one day we'll get to find out.
I don't hold my breath, Dave. I really don't. I mean, And, you know, I don't like sound like a downer. I don't sound like a fearmonger. I don't, you know, none of that. I'm one that's prepared for whatever comes. And that kind of goes with my questions coming into the second hour. But, you know, we live in a society that, I've got to go ahead and bring this up because 90% of my friends on Facebook, so I've got close to 5,000 friends on Facebook, like 49, 50 or something. And 90% of them, or actually 95% of them, are all in the paranormal field. But my news feed, which is all these paranormal field, aren't fighting about the paranormal. They're all fighting about politics. I've got people that are, you know, unfriending so-and-so and unfriending so-and-so. To hell with ghosts and spirits, we're all fighting over Trump and Pelosi. I mean, can't we get away from politics and talk paranormal? But they won't. You see, you know, you always saw a division within the paranormal field, as it was. But now it's not division in the paranormal field. Now they're fighting tooth and nail over politics. You know, can't we get back to paranormal? And yeah, we bring up paranormal, we bring up political questions in here, but to me that's current events, because what we're talking about is current events, and what we're talking about affects all of us, hands down. Whether you're in Canada or the United States, it affects all of us. You know, and Tim, you know, that was about the one I was going to bring up. I know I'm getting close to the wire here on break. But Jesse Ventura with Conspiracy Theory was, I think, hands down one of my favorite shows. Because he was a former governor. He was a former Navy SEAL. He knew his shit. And he went, you know, he went after the throat, bottom line. I mean, sure, it was dramatized a little bit, I'm sure. But he went to Congress. He went to congressmen on TV. Did he get approval beforehand? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it was a good show. It got to the bottom of a lot of conspiracy topics.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to take a break. We're going to go refill our coffees, do whatever we need to. Here is one of Crypt Amnesia's great songs, Bump in the Night.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to S4. Go check out our store. Get your S4 gear. www.s-4radio.com. And I have plenty of mugs for you. $10 a piece. Get your mugs. They're vintage. They're actually S4 and FMP mugs. So our YouTube channel is where all the older archives are. You can still get the archives on the Spreaker channel. And tonight we're doing Roundtable. Roundtable is always a fun show. Ugh. So we got everybody back?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right. Nikki? Where did Nikki go? Nikki, she's probably fighting with her cat. All right, Kayla, what's your first question tonight?
Oh, man. Don't pick it on me. Okay. I guess my first question is going to be alien related. Yay. More like crop circle related.
Okay.
So I've always had this like insane draw to crop circles. I think that they're the coolest thing. Yeah. And a lot of people say that they're faked. A lot of people say that they're directions, or they have tons of different theories on what they are. So what do you guys think a crop circle is? And do you think they're actually real or they're man-made?
Honestly, we did a whole S4 just on crop circles.
Yep.
Last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see them hitting the news. Do you know why, Dave? Why don't we see crop circles in the news so often? You know they're still happening.
Yeah, I think it's because ever since the movie Signs came out about 10 years ago, that there is some question, because there was a lot of copycats over that. Right. And I think because mainstream science has really put a kibosh on the idea that there is some sort of conspiracy behind this, that they've really moved away from saying that this is alien or this is anything other than some sort of strange phenomena. So it doesn't surprise me too much that we haven't seen more on crop circles. It's too bad, because it's an amazing phenomena that needs to be researched more, but it doesn't surprise me.
So, I was studying the crop circles back in the 90s when I first got into the alien UFO field. And back then, it was a really hot topic. Everybody was talking crop circles back then. And you had some, I remember a video that came out that a Japanese man took the video in the UK, and you could actually see an orb go across the field, crop circle formed, the orb left. Now, I think some debunked it. Some said it was real. Who knows? I mean, honestly, so much can be debunked. So much can be faked anymore. It's hard to know what's real and what's not. And what's my computer doing? Anyway, so I kind of, based on the show we did last year on it, I kind of almost think it's almost like there are signs over different, and this makes sense to me. They're like kind of like a marker for different resources on the planet. And it might sound far-fetched. It probably is far-fetched. It's just, to me, it's intriguing. That part is intriguing. Why, So I remember back in, I believe it was the 90s, two men from the UK came out and said, yep, here's how we did it. We got us a board and a handle, and we actually made crop circles. So how do you explain the hundreds of crop circles across the entire UK and Australia? So you two guys did all of them overnight? I don't think so. So, yeah, but when you get people that come out and say they did it and here's how they did it, it puts a lot of skepticism on the field, and it gives fuel to the skeptics to open their mouths and scream it's all fake. But you don't hear about it so much today. The biggest thing you hear about today is, the random UFO sighting, and I don't even hear about them so much anymore. Obviously, we're in the first 19 days of the year. I just remember 2019, we had UFO sightings reported every day. You remember that, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, they were everywhere, and that's kind of the interest in regards to the crop circles and the UFO sightings and everything. I mean, we want to be there in order to see it. We want this stuff taken seriously. We want to see it on the mainstream. But the problem right now that we have still is we don't know what's a hoax and what isn't anymore. I mean, the people who've been in this field for a while know. I mean, if you want to take a look at something like if you look at Tyler Glockner from Secure Team 10, all right, I mean, there's a perfect example right there of somebody who has over 2 million followers on YouTube. He doesn't care if the video is real or fake. He gives a little discussion about it. He's taken a lot of heat from the UFO community regarding the videos that they aren't looked into properly or anything along those lines, and it's caused a lot of dissemination within the community because the average person who does not study this field, Eric, they don't know. No. They don't know if it's real. They don't know if it's fake. They want to believe, and that's why they're checking it out to see if there's any correlation between the two and whether or not it's real or not. And that is one of the issues that we have in this field is it's so easy to fake anything in this field that you can't trust it, and that's why a lot of the media will not run these or has been hesitant to run these because it's so easy to fake everything.
And I fully agree. I also think politics is taking the mainstream of all the media. They're not interested so much in UFO sighting and whatnot. They want to know what Trump's doing or Pelosi's doing. That's where everything is anymore. It's not in the paranormal. 2019, yeah, you still had Trump, you still had Pelosi, you still had politics, but the media was being focused more, and maybe it was a push because they wanted the Space Force. I don't know. There's always an agenda behind everything they do. So what was the agenda? What was the agenda in 2019, and why isn't there an agenda for 2020?
Well, there is an agenda for 2020. There's
What's
always
that?
an agenda. We just have no idea what it is until they start pushing the stuff.
Oh, so what's your thoughts, Nikki? Is Nikki back?
Well,
There you are.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I believe crop circles are real. Kind of off the subject of the crop circles, but kind of in the same genre, is the oh god, I don't even remember what the hell they're called. They're not the crop circles, but they're not engravings. Where you've got the lighter soil, but it's not soil, it's like granite stone, and they've made designs out of the horses, or out of the rock rather. Stone? Yeah, it's carved, but yet it's not.
Yeah, it looks
so
like
I think it falls
carved,
into kind of like that.
Yeah.
So like stone
Yeah,
carvings?
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, all over the earth. And huge. Not something that you can just, you have to be in the sky to be able to see it. I think it falls into the same category. Personally, I think it's done by outsiders or outworlders or off-worlders or whatever you want to call them. Trying to use the A word. Trying to avoid using the A word. Not working.
And that goes to, I believe it was the Nazca Plains originally,
Yes.
and I can't remember the year they found it, but yeah, the Nazca Plains is where they actually had the monkey and the airport and the spider, and it was all done as seen from above. They didn't have airplanes back then. They didn't have any kind of aircraft back then. So how did they, you know, it had to have been something we don't know about that created those. So, yeah, it's the same thing with crop circles. The designs they make have to be seen from above for them to create them.
Yep.
You know, and you got some that say, oh, it's heart. No, that's not heart created.
Oh, man.
You know, I think people grasp for straws when they try to think of what could be making it if it's not off-worlders. You know, I've read all the skeptic reports. I've read all the reports. It's some say HARP. Some say they're satellite communication dishes. No. Cell towers. I don't see how. You know, anything's possible. Anything's always possible. But you don't hear about them so much today. You don't hear much about cattle mutilation so much anymore. You know, anytime you hear about a cattle mutilation, it's blamed on occult activity. It's not always occult activity. Some of it is, yeah, I fully agree. But you can tell a difference because there's a laser done with a true cattle mutilation versus someone cutting a tongue out or cutting a head off with a knife.
Genitals out.
Right. So what's your thoughts, Don? Have you done much research on the crop circles?
No, but I do remember them back in the day. Like, I haven't heard anything about them at all since maybe I was graduating high school. So I don't know too much about them. So yeah.
You think maybe they're just finding a better way to communicate the information now that our technology is caught up a little bit?
So like government?
Yeah, no, what I mean is like, so if it is ET involved and like ET is making a crop circle to say, hey, this is where you can find this or this is where you can find that. Maybe now that we have a little bit higher advancement in technology, they're using our 5G towers to communicate that with each other instead.
It could be. Could be. Something we'll be keeping.
Very possible.
Something we'll keep keeping track of this year is crop circles. That's where maybe we'll do if we get enough intel in the next couple months, we'll do another crop circle show.
Could also be for the masses, messages for the masses instead of the private stuff for the governments.
It could be. What? You've got this look like you want to say something.
Well, I'm just thinking, you're planting corn again this year.
Ooh. You want to invite them down and do crop circles? As long as it's not
No, I want to see how well we can do a fake.
I don't want to. Well, okay. Well, once we get it.
I want to see how much work this actually takes to see, because you think about the intricate designs that are in some of these.
But
let's disprove the fakes.
Here's the problem. You know, a true crop circle, the stalks are bent and entwined without breaking the stalk. That's hard to do by itself. Also, the cellular structure of the crop, of the corn, using corn for example, itself is manipulated. It's genetically manipulated. That's the difference between a real crop circle and the fake. We can't do that.
We flash freeze the end of the stalk, or the beginning of the stalk, and grab a little plutonium and spread it around the crop. We got this.
Throw it in the microwave.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. We're going to fake a crop circle this year.
Children at the end of this, guys.
So I'm going to jump over to false flags. Dave, you love false flags.
Oh, yes. My favorite.
So I want to ask, who's been keeping track of this whole Second Amendment issue in Virginia? Where the governor...
I'm Canadian.
I know that, but...
He means Virginia, Ontario. Jeez.
I know damn well it hit your news, too, because the governor of Virginia has actually declared a state of emergency because the government of Virginia wants to take away guns. And they've actually gone so far as to where the militias are all rising up now and saying, we are going to storm the Capitol building of Virginia to keep our gun rights. To me, that's just stupid, because that's just making them want to take your guns even more if you're going to storm the government.
So let's pack
Well,
our
and they
guns
arrested-
that they want to take and then storm them with them?
Huh?
So let's pack our guns on our side that they want to take away from us and storm the Capitol with them.
In Virginia.
Yeah, okay.
Just Virginia. Just the state of Virginia is doing this.
Okay, I'm going to say something in Dave's defense quick. That is not going to hit his news. Right now, they're still, like, confused over what to do about Don Cherry up there, okay? And that is not going to hit his news feed.
Okay. So what do you think, Nikki?
Oh, they've arrested a number of white supremacists on the subject who were planning something pretty big. What do I think? I think it's ridiculous. I think that we do need to stand up for our gun laws, but I don't think this is necessarily the way to do it. And if my son were here, oh my God, would I be hearing it? Oh, he and I go out shooting periodically at a gun range, and he's damn good. But he's been keeping up more with this than I have, and he's been sending me links to different things to keep me updated, because he knows that's what I want to be done for me. Because I get a lot of links from a lot of different people, and it's like, oh my God, this is driving me nuts. I only have so much time in a day. But yeah, it's, in my opinion, not the right way to go about it. I mean, it's kind of like obvious. It's like, duh, hello. But yeah, things need to be done so that we are able to keep our weaponry. Let's just put it that way, which is the nice way to put it.
And I completely agree. I completely back Second Amendment rights, but I also back gun education. Because any Joe Schmo can run out and buy a gun, whether they've used a gun before or not. So, you put, and I've said this on the S4 before, you go into an active shooter situation, Joe Schmo pulls out his gun, going to shoot himself in the foot because he don't know how to use the damn gun, and now he's a target and he's going to get shot. That's the bottom line. So, yes, people have the right to bear arms, but to a point, get some gun education. Go to a range and learn how to use the damn thing before you just go buy one and think, oh, I've got a gun, I'm protected now. No, you ain't. You got to shoot yourself in the foot or shoot the wrong person. Huh?
Don't they do that in Switzerland? Don't they Don't they teach their children at a very young age in Switzerland? I mean, that country is freaking weaponized, man. They teach their kids at a very young age to use weapons, and it is they are taught. They are taught how to use it. And hello, look at why they were doing this.
Right.
I agree that should be done.
No, should we
Education
all have to... I think where the line needs to be crossed, or doesn't need to be crossed, rather, is should we all register our guns with the government? No, I don't think the government needs to know, unless you have an illegal firearm. If it's automatic, you shouldn't have it. An automatic weapon is a military-grade weapon. A civilian does not need to have an automatic weapon. Semi-auto is good enough. Bottom line. And enough of that. But real quick, I do want to say, Don, what do you think about that? You're in California, where everybody hates California. you look at the news feeds. You look at the news feeds, and oh my God, everyone's always attacking California. What's your thoughts?
I'm with you guys about gun education. I think that there are this kind of brings up a story of mine. Just recently, I work at a school, an elementary school,
right?
And I'm walking down the playground, walking my kid that I'm an aide for to occupational therapy, and I look down and I see a bullet, a round that was on the ground. And
Seriously?
it's not a casing, and it was not a casing. It was a bullet. It was a fired spent round that I had found. And when I looked at it, it wasn't mushroom. It was only dented on one side, as if it had fallen from the sky. So someone had fired into the air, and this bullet came down on an elementary school.
I read it. Yeah, did that happen at your school? I read about that in the news. I think
that was not. No one got hurt. No one was hurt. So
right.
I just found a bullet, and so someone, like an idiot, fired in the air. People like that shouldn't own guns.
No, I agree.
So that's my take on it.
I fully agree. And, so I went, again, I look at my news feed all the damn time. I did this NRA, and I don't like the NRA, but because I don't agree with everything they stand for. But the NRA had this poll in there. So, oh God, what was I? Where did I go with this? So the NRA. God damn it! Oh! Weapon-free zones. I have no problem with veterans or law enforcement going to protect a school. I don't even. But I don't know where I stand with. Should a teacher be armed?
No.
No.
There's not enough teachers that are qualified for that.
So, if they go to weapons training, military style, and I'll say that right off the top. If you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be armed, you need to go to a military style damn training range, not civilian. Because if you're going to protect a classroom, that would be the only way. It's a sad state we live in today, where we have to worry about our kids' safety. Growing up, sure there were guns in the back of people's trucks in the school parking lot, but that's because when they got out of school, they were going to get back in the truck and go hunting. That was it. We didn't worry about school shootings in the 70s and 80s. It didn't happen.
A lot of that though is copycat. I mean, we're not seeing people acting out. I mean, you can thank the Columbine massacre for the mass amount of school shootings, and let's face it, we're in a society now, unfortunately, for certain things that are always having to be bigger and better than the last person, no matter how sickening it is. In regards to gun laws, living in Canada here, where we have some of the most strict gun laws in the world, and they are becoming even more strict because for some reason our prime minister believes that if you take guns away from the law-abiding citizens, it's going to eliminate crime and illegal guns, especially handguns. And it's a lot of backwards thinking. I will say this: I do not have a firearms license. All right. I do not own a gun. I do not disparage anybody who does, because I think if taught properly that guns are viable, especially where I live, okay, in the wilderness. I have cougars and wolves and grizzly bears and black bears in my area, all right? I do. If something comes along that is putting my child in jeopardy, or somebody in my family in jeopardy, I'm going to want to act on that, right? However, I will say this: where I do agree with the Canadian side of things, okay, is it takes a long time to get a gun. You have to take your PAL, which is your PAL and core license, which teaches you how to hunt properly. It teaches you how to have gun safety. Then you go through a criminal record check. If you pass those courses, you have to go through a criminal record check and a medical check in order to get your license. Sometimes, I think it takes a little too long. It could take anywhere from a couple of weeks to 6 or 8 months, depending how backlogged they are. All right. But I don't have a problem with that. Okay. I don't have a problem with the government looking at me and saying, well, I've been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Therefore, I may not qualify to get my firearms license. I also like the fact that in certain areas you cannot carry guns. Okay, like for instance, handguns are legal in Canada. Mm-hmm. They are very legal in Canada. However, they're called a prohibited weapon. So that means that you can't just carry one around. You have to carry it from point A to point B. Point right. B being a fish and game type of area. All right, you just can't, head to Safeway, grab some groceries, and leave your handgun in the car. You could get arrested for that, and I don't mind that. All right, I don't mind stuff like that. I like the fact that I can go to the store or go to a restaurant or go to a bar, and there's nobody packing. Right?
Fully agree.
I enjoy that.
Fully agree.
All right, but I will say this: I don't agree with the handgun law. Because let's say you're getting charged by a cougar or a black bear in the forest, and it will not leave you alone, and it's coming at you fast, and it's it takes a long time to raise a rifle, sight it, and then pull the trigger. Whereas a handgun is made for close combat, and if you are fighting for your lives, I don't understand in this country why a person can't have a handgun. And let's say you're within a 10-mile radius of town or outside of a town, be able to carry it for safety when you're out hunting in the forest. So there's a little bit of a conundrum. I think our laws are too strict. I will say I think we got it right up here for making people go through the hoops in order to get firearms, and I think we're a lot safer for that.
And I do like that the money that you spend on a lot of that, a lot of it goes back to wildlife conservation as well.
Exactly.
I love that fact.
Exactly.
Okay, so I can tell you from personal experience that to get a rifle here, a hunting rifle here, it takes you about 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. I went into a gun shop. I have never, ever, once in my life, gone through any kind of training, any kind of anything as far as weaponry. I shot one once, and I ended up hurting myself, to be honest. So,
to clarify, this weapon is a Christmas gift for myself.
Yes.
And I have had training.
Yes. I have no business ever owning a gun, ever.
Oh, we'll train you.
But I went in there, and all I had to do was say, you know what? That one looks good. They said, okay, do you want to check it out? I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't check that out. And he goes, okay. And I said, okay, well, what kind of bullets go in it? And he handed me a pack of bullets, and he said, do you have your ID? I said, yes. Gave him my ID. He went into the back room. It took him about 30 seconds to input whatever it was that he had in there. He came back, and he told me that's going to be X amount of money. And I said, do I have to wait to take it out of the store or anything? I don't know anything about guns. And he goes, no, you can take it with you right now. So knowing that, it's kind of a scary thought that anyone above the age of 18 can just walk into any of these little shops around here and be able to say, hey, you know what? That one looks good.
And, where I do disagree is out of Washington State. I signed a paper, last month at the community meeting against a Washington State law that's trying to it's trying to ban 22 long rifles. A 22 long rifle is not any kind of an assault weapon. It's semi-auto. But I use my 22 for damn coyote, raccoon. It's my varmint rifle. So really, we're going to make a 22 a threat? Oh, hell no.
What's the name of this? You got to post this. I want to look this up because I'm just stunned that they would try to do that with the 22 long.
We'll have to ask that guy. I can't remember.
Yeah, you know what? Look up, just do a Google search for Washington State new laws being passed. You can find it. It's something they tried to pass back in November. But
Thank you.
I mean, and I'll look it up after the show.
Here.
But honestly, you're gonna make a .22 long rifle an assault weapon? Hell no. That's just ridiculous.
Thank you.
Washington State is.
Just put up.
Huh? Go ahead.
That's.
It is.
Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Wow.
and that's why I walk the line. I hate both the left and the right. I think they're both useless. There's no. They're both corrupt. They're both pieces of crap. There's good points to both sides.
I will say I do hate signing those petitions anywhere.
Why?
For the fact that, okay, so the top of the petition has a small blurb about what they're trying to do, but it's not straight out of the book. It's not written like the Washington State Code is. Therefore, they rewrote it.
Yeah.
So when you're signing a petition like that, especially in front of a Walmart or a frickin' Safeway, you have no idea what that law actually states, whether they're over-embellishing it. That's my problem with it. I hate when people hand me those in front of stores.
So, and I will say this, as far as Washington State normally goes, when I had to do a 10-page paper for my Homeland Security degree, and it had to be on my specific state and my specific state's gun laws. And what I did find out about Washington State, which I think is good, is we were the only state at that time, that was 2 years ago, that actually used DSHS for part of its background checks. I don't think that's a bad idea.
No.
Not at all. Do I want someone with schizophrenia, for example, having a firearm? He's going to hear voices because he's not taking his medication. Nothing against mental health. But if you got someone that's not taking their medications properly, hears the wrong thing in their head, and is going to start shooting. That might be an extreme example.
For those outside of the U.S., DSHS is the Department of Social Health and Department of
Social Health Services.
Yes.
So yeah, I can fully agree with certain background checks being done if someone's exhibiting signs of any kind of mental health issues. So Cole, what's your first question for the night?
Okay, so I don't know if anyone heard this through their Facebook or on the news. China has booted up one of the largest radio telescopes, ever made. It's called FAST, the 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope. They are calling it the Alien Hunting Telescope. Mm-hmm. This is a telescope that can actually view things outside of our solar system in HD.
Wow.
Do we think that anything will come of this?
And where do you think they got the technology? Excuse me.
Taiwan.
Right. Oh my God.
The Vatican. They got the technology from the Vatican with Lucifer.
Well, the Vatican's had it since like Jesus' days. So.
Oh no. When did the Vatican come up with their Hubble telescope? Do you remember, Dave?
Oh, well, Lucifer was brought in about 3 years ago now, and still creating quite the controversy over its name.
Well, yeah, because if you're looking outside of Earth, like a telescope does, you'd think you'd call it something more to do with heaven rather than like...
Well, that's why they call it Lucifer, fallen angel, right?
That's not exactly a good name for a telescope. What if it falls?
No, it's not.
Get your Lucy vision.
God.
So, like, do you see them actually... so they booted it up on Saturday. Do you actually see them finding anything in the near future? Like, at this point, we actually only study about, at the most, 8% of actual space outside of our solar system.
To be honest, I think if they do find something, we aren't going to hear about it for another 15 years.
No, we won't.
No.
So, no matter what ends up happening, we're not going to get the knowledge about it.
They've already been finding. They just are babbling about it. That's what makes this so ridiculous.
It
It's
is
like,
China.
come on, folks.
So we definitely won't hear about it on Facebook.
Oh, hell no.
Oh no, they will throw some pictures up there because they have to. So there will be certain pictures that's like, ooh, look at this moon. Look at it in HD. Look at how awesome these craters are. But anything that they find
stuff
up
is
there,
better.
as far as alien life or as far as inhabitable planets or anything like that, we aren't going to hear about that for at least another 15 years.
No, and just before the show, I saw something really brief that I haven't looked at. But they found an Earth-like planet. And again, is it real news? Who knows? But they found an Earth-like planet just outside our solar system. Did you hear anything about that,
Actually,
Dave?
they found 2.
Yeah, they've been finding a lot of those recently, which is, I think, really cool that they've been able to expand and see things that we may not normally be seeing within our solar system or anything along those lines. And I believe they've found a bunch of exoplanets over the last 10 years minimum that have really been shocking. I mean, you look at the Kepler planets and everything along those lines that were pretty much like Earth-like clones, which is fantastic. But I want to get to the point of what was asked in regards to the technology. I think we have to really start to look at the idea here. And this may not be a popular thought, but this is what I kind of believe what's going on. I do believe that there is a lot. I don't believe in the whole space race thing. I think the space race thing is media and putting competition where there isn't competition. I mean, you look at the tensions that people say is between the United States and Russia on earthly ground, yet the United States has been using Russia for almost a decade now in order to get astronauts up there. I think this is some sort of secret. Okay, without putting too much tinfoil on, I think it's a secret type of program that allows other countries outside of the United States to spend the money to try and figure out what may or may not be out there. I think that's what it comes down to. I believe that when it comes to space, I think there's a giant team effort going on out there trying to predict or not predict what is actually happening and what is actually hiding out there. It only makes sense considering what we've seen. But the lunacy that there's a giant space race going on, I don't think so. I mean, we're talking about potential survival of a planet. That involves everybody and everything on Earth. And we have to wake up to the fact that, it's not just going to be Americans or Canadians or Germans or Russians that are going into space looking for this. It's got to be a combination of everybody, because if something drastic does happen to this planet, let's say there's an asteroid coming that we cannot stop. Okay, we got to figure out ways in order to do that. That is going to take every smart brain on this planet to figure it out. It's not going to matter what nationality they are. It's not going to matter what's happening. And I think when it comes to space, I think a lot of this gets blown out of proportion because we so want Russians to still be enemies. We still want the Chinese to be enemies because they're communist and stand for everything that us North Americans don't stand for. And I think once we get through that bullshit and start realizing that there is more to this when it comes to space than what we want to believe, then we will start noticing that I believe programs like this are for everyone and not just one particular country.
Well, if there's an asteroid coming, we're just going to send Bruce Willis up.
Oh, that was a horrible.
So
Entertaining, though, I do have to say.
I've never been. I have never been one of those Siskel and Ebert type of guys, but with that movie, I totally was. I'm like, I remember saying to my friend, "Let me guess. Now a piece of that asteroid is going to break off and break one of the ships, and blow it up. Boom, that happens. Right. Let me guess, this is going to happen. Let me guess, this is going to happen." It was so frigging, predictable. It was horrible.
I don't know.
I felt
when Steve Buscemi got on that nuke and started riding it, I did not see that coming.
It was still a good movie, goddammit.
Okay, sadly, probably one
it
of
was
Steve
terrible.
Buscemi's best roles.
It was good.
I would
That's all
sooner
listeners
I
think.
would sooner watch a Pauly Shore marathon than have to
Oh,
relive
no, you didn't
going
go
through one of those going through Armageddon again. Yes, it had a good soundtrack, but that's all it had. Horrible.
So I got a question. So Trippin is saying Japan has been scanning the moon to put a base. Meanwhile, they're training to build the base and planning to be on the moon in 2022. Could that, and this is going to sound crazy, but could that be why we have a space force so we can beat them?
I'm still trying to figure out how Space Force came out with their own camouflage fatigues today.
That's stupid.
I want to know.
Are they universal
I want to know what
camouflage?
aliens. I want to know what aliens are running around in combat fatigues for.
And it's stupid. It's it's just like the ACUs that we wore in Iraq. They're digital, but they're not. Wouldn't you agree, Don? Our digital camouflage that we wore, ACUs, didn't hide us in the desert.
No, they were blue.
I mean, yeah. So we're gonna put camouflage. Oh, the aliens aren't going to see us in space wearing camouflage because we'll be camouflaged with the moon.
Who knows? Maybe aliens are all colorblind. We'll be fine.
Oh God.
Maybe they're like dinosaurs and they can't see us if we're standing still.
Huh?
Maybe they can't see us if we're standing still like dinosaurs.
If you're in space, you're
Maybe.
floating around. You ain't standing still.
Maybe.
I would.
What?
I weigh enough I wouldn't move.
So we got 15 minutes for our last break. So Don, what's your second question tonight?
Well, we kind of touched on it already, but how do you know when you find something is real online or fake online? Like, is it your own personal preference, or is it like, how do you know what's real?
So personally, if I find a news source, I will Google it, and I will look for at least 3 to 4, preferably 5 different sources that talk about the same thing. That's hard to do anymore. It really is. So honestly, I use personal experience. When it comes to paranormal, I'm not even talking politics. I don't believe a whole lot of the political crap on either side that comes out at all. It's hard to, and again, that's both sides, folks. That's not just the Democrats or the Republicans. It's both of them. They both lie off their ass. When it comes to the paranormal, again, I look for, I base it on personal experience, and I look for at least 3 to 4. And I don't ever use, you go to college, you'll learn really quick. Wikipedia is not a valid source. Anybody can put a Wikipedia article up. So, no, I look for 3 to 4. When it talks, because I use a lot of terrorism sites as well to track or extremist organizations, I look at who's funding it. So a lot of people like the SPLC, for example, the Southern Poverty Law Agency. There we go. And a lot of them think it is left-wing based because they call evangelicals extremists. Okay, I get that. Some evangelicals are extremists. Not all of them, but some of them are. Just like, some Islam is extremist. Every religious belief can have extremists. So you have to look at who funds or what political party or what paranormal agency is backing that particular website or that particular source.
I won't always say it comes from a source. That's the thing. We
Right.
watched a video tonight that was on Forest Moon Paranormal group that I approved because, and I didn't approve it because it's a validity. I approved it because it looked really cool.
You talking about the witch going up the wall?
Yes, there was 2 witches apparently fighting in front of a church, and they walked up the wall of the church.
That's not real. But It looked cool. I agree. It looked cool.
Can you say that for 100% certainty right now?
Is anything real?
Well, no, but that's the thing, Eric. That's like, without actually doing research on it, but you can't just research the sources, because sources get it wrong all the time.
Right. And I agree.
So, you actually have, like, in order to actually prove this stuff now, you actually have to do bigger and better research. You got to find out where that church is, number one.
Right.
Talk to someone who might have actually been there. Maybe talk to the guy who took the film.
If you can track them.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, in order to actually find this stuff out on the internet, when it comes down to it, you can't believe anything you see on there.
And honestly, now you also have to have a graphics expert.
Yeah,
go through frame by frame and say, hey.
But it comes to the point where, like, someone posted the other day that it's now a $999 ticket for not wearing a seatbelt in Alberta. No, it isn't. That was a lie. That was just to get more people wearing their seatbelts.
Right.
They use scare tactics like that to actually...
Well, But Cole, the issue with that, and I'm going to use my media background here for a second. The issue with that is, and I've been caught up in this too a few times, and I've had to school myself on not being so naive and stupid. People are not reading the articles anymore. We've become a headline-based society where a catchy headline has been able to capture our emotions extremely fast, and people need to understand that what is happening here is not so much fake news as it is about CGI, as it is about actually what they call clickbait, which a lot of people have no understanding or comprehension of what clickbait is. For people who don't know, clickbait is, say, a catchy headline that forces you to, it catches your attention. And so what you end up doing is you end up clicking on that story, and the story has nothing to do with what you were actually wanting to hear about. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, I read an article because I'm a hockey guy about Wayne Gretzky. His records are falling because of this, and then you go and read the article, and it's some clickbait site that's saying that that Gretzky is about this nutrition, and this is why he was able to do so well. Has nothing to do with his records falling or being deleted by the National Hockey League or anything like that. I've fallen for that. We want to get offended so quickly with the headlines that we're not even doing the homework anymore to see what is real and what is fake. And that's what's actually killing everything, because people cannot tell the difference between what is real news and what is fake news anymore, because we're just reading the headlines. We're not going into the story. We're not checking the facts. And I'll throw a wrench in here for a lot of people, and probably even some of you at the table. I hate to tell you this, but there are no government agents working in newsrooms saying what can and cannot be put on the air. I hate to break your hearts, tinfoilers, okay, but that's the truth. All right? There are no government agents working in newsrooms stating what can and cannot go on the air. So lose the conspiracy theorist attitude. Okay? The media's problem, if you want to go in the mainstream, the media's problem is that they have taken political sides. They have been allowed to go against what they are supposed to be doing, which is calling stories down the middle because the media's job is to be the judge, jury, and executioner and the police force for the public. And what the media has done over the years is they have taken a political side to create their media to be a more political slant towards one party or the other. And unfortunately, that's why the stories seem so skewed. It has nothing to do with, we don't run UFO stories or Bigfoot stories or witches walking up walls because the media doesn't want you to see this or the government doesn't want you to see this. Okay, that's bullshit. All right, let's just call it what it is. It's bullshit. All right, you need to be able to understand. It's the higher ups that are making that call, the editors of the news departments who say, we're not wasting our money and our advertising revenue on a BS story. It's mainly because the journalists and the editors especially are very extreme and very fickle with what they will allow on their shift on the air. And in their case, no, nothing to do with the, well, sometimes you're right. It does have to do with the owners, especially if they have a religious point of view or something along those lines. But the main aspect of it all is it's all for clickbait. There is nothing there that is telling people what to play and what not to play, or what songs to play and what songs not to play. That's not happening. It's all human error. It's not a government thing.
And I would agree with that, Dave. What I was referring to was, and I guarantee you are correct in what that was. And it was one of my aunts, or great aunt. She posted that after probably reading one of those articles, or reading one of the headlines.
And I gotta say, jumping on the clickbait real quick. From a cybersecurity aspect, a lot of these clickbait sites are also opening up your computer to vulnerabilities. A lot of your hackers are actually using clickbait to access your computers. That's another bad thing about clickbait.
You know what, Eric? I hate to cut you off there. But I should mention this because it's in the conversation. I got a buddy of mine named Mike who is, I wouldn't call him a conspiracy theorist, but he really likes the work of David Icke. Okay, and as much as I've tried to kind of get him away from that, he's his own dude, and he's going to watch what he wants to watch, and he believes that David Icke has a lot of points that make sense. Okay, good on you for that. He went on David Icke's website the other day. All right, he lost his entire computer. Computer went down. Something on Icke's site. There's a major virus that blew out his whole computer, and he took it in to get it checked out, and the guy's like, dude, like everything you have on your computer is gone. He's like, there is nothing there. He had like 5,000 wildlife photographs that he had taken of wild animals and just beautiful scenic pictures. Everything wiped off his hard drive by whatever was on David Icke's website.
Yeah, I looked at David Icke years ago, and he went after the fringe a long time ago. And there's a few of them, not just him. There's quite a few of them, and on the clickbait side, there's a couple different sources I will not allow in FMP because they are proven clickbait. Before It's News being one of them. There's certain sources out there that just go off to the fringe of the paranormal, and no. If I can protect the people in our group, I will. When it comes to a clickbait site, they aren't allowed in our group. Again, in answer to your question, Don, I go at least at a minimum. I prefer 5 if I can find 5 different sources, but at a minimum, try to find 3.
Okay, that makes sense.
And again, don't believe everything on YouTube. Anybody can make a video, but what I like to do with documentaries and what I like to do with YouTube videos is I take notes, and when I'm watching a video, I will write down the names that they bring up, and I will research those names. Are they actual paranormal investigators, and how long they've been in the field? If you've been in this field for under 5 years, and I think you would agree with me, Dave. If you've been in the paranormal field for under 5 years, you are a newbie.
Yes.
So, I like looking at paranormal documentaries and videos. I take notes. When I'm doing my actual research, I'm taking notes. I'm writing down the names of the people that are on those videos. I'm writing down the references that they use. Even on Wikipedia. I'll look at Wikipedia. Not all of them are bullshit, but I'll look at the reference sheet. And I'll follow those links on the reference sheet and see if they're valid links. And see if they're valid sources. That's where I stand on Wikipedia. But when you're doing a university paper, Oh,
Stay
hell
off
no.
Wikipedia.
You don't ever use Wikipedia
Well,
for a source.
And you should always call me after you use Wikipedia to see if I changed anything.
Huh?
That's one of my favorite things to do, honestly.
Right?
Did you know the Pope was Batman?
Anybody can edit
For like
Wikipedia
24
source.
minutes, the Pope was Batman.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yes, I had 24 minutes. I had that changed for.
I didn't know the Pope was Batman. Anyway, so we're coming down to our last commercial of the night.
That's right. We got Cryptanesia's new one, Hell Within.
Excellent. Enjoy it. And I promise you, eventually we are going to have Cryptomnesia on the show. I'm going to have fun interviewing them because they're into the paranormal as well as hell. They are a paranormal metal band.
Yeah,
So
and if you guys
tell
can,
by their-
go to YouTube, click on them, check out their music videos. They do an awesome job with their videos. These guys are not signed. They prefer to keep it all themselves and keep it so that no one else has any input on what they have to do.
Right.
So everything they make themselves, and they do one heck of a job. So here you go, guys.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Your eyes black as the night.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Go.
Will it? Okay. Welcome back to S4. Go check out our store. Get your S4 gear and your mugs and your shower curtains and your rugs at www.s-4radio.com. And if you want to be a sponsor on S4, give Cole a call, 360-999-2830. We're always looking for sponsors. And if you get your taxes done, go check out Zip Refund, 1080 Darrington Street in Darrington, Washington, where Helen Cooper will take care of all your tax needs. So we are back to Roundtable tonight. And Nikki, what's your second question for the show tonight?
Deals with energy work. Why do you believe stones work as protection, or that anything we as light energy workers use works for protection in any way, shape, or form, whether it's astral, whether it's whatever you're doing? Why do you believe it works?
So, awesome question. So, stones are energy. Every stone, every type of stone, has its own properties, which are designed specifically for those needs, such as hematite for grounding. To me, hematite is a very weak grounding. It's for a very basic person that doesn't have a whole lot of energy to ground. Because you see too many people that get hematite bracelets, for example, and those bracelets shatter. Same with hematite rings. Because if they're pushing too much energy, those stones will shatter. Got rose quartz. I always like using rose quartz for kids with nightmares, because they are good at absorbing negativity when it comes to nightmares and dreams. I always pushed black tourmaline for protection because it dispels negativity. Every stone's got its own properties and its own energies. Now, with that, it has to do with the intention of the individual. So you have to put your intention into that stone, whether it's for protection or grounding or healing. Same with plants. Every plant has its own purpose. Every herb has its own purpose. Is sage a fix-all for the paranormal? No, it's not. Absolutely not. You have to figure out what the root cause of the problem is before you just bring in your sage and do a smudging. Smudging itself isn't going to remove a spirit, unless it's a very, very basic spirit and nothing more. But before sage is going to work, sage is good at keeping things out for a time, but it's not a fix-all. Do you have anything more to add?
Me, no.
Okay.
Well, what stone do I use? It's that tiger's...
Tiger's eye.
Yes.
So, it depends on the individual, too. It's an individual thing. I love this topic, because this topic is something I'm very well versed in. So, with you, Cole, being Native American, you've got different energy. You've got different spirits. You've got different spirit guides. So, while black tourmaline might not work for you, the tiger's eye did. You have to find the stone that works for you.
Is that what my teachers went when they just said, he's freaking different?
Uh-huh. Absolutely. You got anything to add, Don? Because I know you know a bit about herbs and stones as well.
Not really, no. I'm a little out of practice with stones, to be honest with you.
Okay. So I want to add to that because it just crossed my mind too. So with crystals, your regular quartz crystal, they are very versatile. Again, you have to take the crystal and focus your intention. Whether it's for healing, you can actually use crystals to trap spirits or malevolent entities, and then you remove them. Usually we take the crystal and we throw it in the ocean or the bay because it neutralizes it. It doesn't release the spirit. Usually spirits you pass over. I'm talking about the malevolent entity types, not just general spirits. But crystals can be used for communication. As funny as that might sound to some people, you can use crystals for telepathy. I've done that before. You can use crystals for healing, for protection. Crystals are a very... No, Tim, I don't use LSD. Not LSD.
That wasn't meant for you.
Okay. Sorry, folks, I'm reading the chat room here. LSD's got nothing to do with stones and herbs. But when you
talk to.
Wait a second there.
But so with stones, so you have paranormal intentions with stones. But depending on what your belief system is, pagans use stones based on their deities. So, for example, with me, and I know with Dawn, Morrigan being my primary deity that I work with, her stones are bloodstone. That's her primary stone. She that is symbolic of Morrigan. Same with a black cow and a dog. There's certain representations based on every goddess or god that's out there. So with that, stones can be symbolic of your deity as well, and that's what you put on your altar based on who you follow, who you work with. So hopefully that answers your questions, Nikki.
Yes, it does.
Good.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
I take that back. Here's one. What do you use when you're constantly blowing up all the stones you work with?
Oh, God. Let's see. Oh, you got something to add?
Red brick.
Huh?
Red brick.
Red
Do
brick?
it.
Like literally red brick?
Literal red brick.
Why does it have to be
You're
red? What's wrong with
kidding.
brown?
Nope, I am not kidding. Literal red brick. Red brick shavings, red brick.
Try red brick.
I'm surprised because I would think that would splinter off like flakes.
You would think so, but no, it does not.
I'm trying to remember the...
And it doesn't matter if it does. That's the thing about red brick, is even if it's powder formed, it'll still hold the same energies and properties.
Okay.
Well,
Well, and it's cheap. Damn.
that's for sure.
You know, I'm trying to remember the name of the show. There's a show the only paranormal movie I've ever actually seen that actually focused on red brick. I believe Skeleton Key or something like that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is it.
Is that the name of the movie? And that's the only movie. That's the only movie I've ever seen that actually used red brick to protect a home in a paranormal movie. I mean, granted, it was theatrical, or it was a horror movie.
It was more voodoo.
Yeah.
Red brick is a hoodoo thing, so it's used very, very often in the hoodoo. Not voodoo, but hoodoo. But yes, it does have some severe energy properties. and it will help you if that's an issue that you're having.
And Izzy's also saying in the chat room, Nikki, it sounds like grounding might be a really good idea there too if you're breaking stones.
Oh, I ground. I center. I use a lot of different energies.
Okay.
Still breaking all my stones. Constantly having to replace them.
And maybe you
really
personally haven't... Sorry?
We're talking really high energy.
So,
like the kind I've never experienced before in my life. The kind that is blowing out everyone astrally, the kind that is blowing out spirits who are coming to talk to me, the kind that is blowing out even the evil spirits who are trying to pretend that they're demons.
right. Have you ever tried Moldavite?
Can't say as I have. Write that one down.
Try Moldavite. It's a very unique stone. It is out there. You can find it. It is partly meteor. And a very strong stone. So try Moldavite.
I will do that.
It might be what you need.
I'll look at both the red brick and the Moldavite.
Okay.
What do you have against gray brick?
Really? That's what you went with?
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's going to be a specific clay.
All brick is created equal.
And while we're on this topic, you've had this on your show, Dave, I know. Is what kills me is with a lot of payroll teams that don't believe in protection, period. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's because they are all scientists, even though they haven't done anything science since about grade 10 or 11.
Yeah.
That's one of my pet peeves, man.
There's nothing dangerous.
You don't have a lot of people who are out there. Let me put it this way, and I'm going to change the topic just a tad here.
That's fine.
If you are looking for a paranormal team, and if they use the word science,
run.
Immediately you know they are not the team to hire.
No.
There is nothing scientific about what 99% of the paranormal teams are doing out there. There is nothing scientific with it. So, that may cause a little controversy out there, all right? But you cannot conduct science if you do not have a proper contained laboratory for experimentation.
2020
I've talked to some...
is the year of S4 controversy. So you're completely fine.
Well, and that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Okay. So when I hear these paranormal investigators out there saying we are conducting scientific research, the first thing that I do is I never book them for Spaced Out Radio.
Exactly.
I refuse, because the only thing that it does is it dumbs us all down. It dumbs us down to the point where we actually believe stupidity, that there are people conducting actual scientific experimentation on the paranormal.
Right.
It is not true. Okay, just because they use technical equipment does not make it scientific.
Nope.
All right.
That EMF meter and that digital thermometer and that night vision camera is not scientific equipment. If you cannot replicate the same spirit more than 3 times, generally speaking, that is not a scientific experiment. You have to be able to replicate. That's what makes it science. And you can't do that with spirits.
No, you cannot. So that is probably the biggest red flag that I could say for anybody out there. If you're wondering what is going on and what's happening and how to figure out, the realities of anything paranormal, please start with the information that you are getting. Because the minute someone hands you this, we conduct scientific experimentation, you know that you're having the wool pulled over your eyes right then and there, and don't cause yourself any strife or harm for the BS that you're likely going to get or stirred up in your home, your place of work, or wherever it may be.
And Trip, I agree, science experiments don't require a lab. That's not the point. The point is a team running in with a pretty little EMF meter doesn't make science. It's not a replicatable event. So it's not proven science.
Well, and if you can replicate it for 3 times like that, it's probably not what you think it is.
Probably not. And with that, I want to add to that, Dave. Any team you have that comes in and is going to charge you any kind of money for a paranormal investigation, also walk away, because there's enough teams out there that don't charge you that will take care of the problem, ideally.
Yeah, run as far away as fast as you can away from them.
Yeah. FFP doesn't investigate anymore. We do research, and we do S4. But with that, we have plenty of teams out there that we can refer you to that will handle the problem.
And Tripp says you're still acquiring data, and I agree with that. You are. But the problem with that is acquiring data is only one part of the scientific method. That doesn't make actual science.
No.
You're only doing one part of it. Yeah, unless you combine all of the parts of the scientific method, you are not completing a scientific experiment.
Agreed. And I'm sorry, most of your paranormal teams out there that say they're doing it for science probably took science in the 3rd grade, which was years before they got into the paranormal. Unless you have an actual scientist on the team, that actually knows scientific theory and actually has the tools to use to prove science, no. Most of your paranormal teams out there don't have a scientist or any kind of science background. They just don't. They watched Ghost Adventures and think that makes them paranormal investigators. And that is about 90% of your teams out there anymore. So what's your thoughts, Nikki? I know you want to add to that.
I think you guys said it all. All that's along the same line of thinking that I think, so.
Yeah. Kayla, what's your second question?
Okay. Maybe Nikki would know something about this. Okay, well, y'all know stuff about this, but so we've talked a few times in the past about thought forms and about how you can create things from pure thought. Do you think that anyone can do that? Like, or you have to have something specific about you, something specific about your energy to be able to actually create something out of nothing.
You're talking about manifestation.
Yeah, manifestation of thought.
Well, my personal opinion is I think anybody can do it. I think the more abilities you have, the higher likelihood of doing it faster. And it can be a little dangerous if you're not careful and know what the hell you're doing.
I think the perfect example of a thought form is Slender Man. I've said this on the show before. Slender Man originally was created by a web-based group of people that created the concept of Slender Man. Was it based on history? It may have been. You can look at some images of Slender Man back in the 13th century and see it on wood carvings. But what happened with that is the more fear you have put into a concept is what can start creating a thought form. It gives them the energy of fear that they feed off of. And that is what can create a thought form. And it makes them more real. And would you agree with that, Nikki?
Yeah.
You sound skeptical. I think
I am,
so.
but I'm not at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I say Slender Man because Slender Man was a big thing back in, I believe it was the late 90s. And then the concept kind of disappeared, but then it popped back up when those little girls stabbed one of their friends because Slender Man told them to. And that was in 2000, I want to say 6 or 7.
She probably ate the last cookie, too.
Is that what it was?
Just saying.
Slender Man ate the last cookie? Or the little girl did?
The little girl.
Oh, yeah. But
one of my kids eats the last cookie. They're getting stabbed. Damn right.
But there was a whole court case, And they actually brought up that, this image of this creature named Slender Man actually told them to stab their friend. And Tripp is saying they use that as an excuse, but there was not a whole lot mentioned about Slender Man in about 5 to 6 years in between that. And as he said, it was 2014. Oh, it was that recent. Okay.
She even mentioned you by name. Like, that was a total wife correction.
Right. No, the years are just flying. I didn't realize it was that recent. 2014 is not that recent, but it is for the Slenderman court case. But
that tells me that they'd been doing some research. They'd been playing.
Oh yeah. So when you take the global concept, when you put a group of people or a group of society that is all focused on one concept, such as peace, for example, could that cause peace? What's your thoughts?
I missed that last sentence. Could that cause what?
So if you get a portion of the global community to all focus on peace, do you think that could cause peace?
If it's done long enough, I think they can. There were children in, God, I can't think of what country it was. I just read an article last week about it. And in 2018 and 2019, I think it was. I posted it. It's public. It's on my Facebook page. No, it was 2018. Yeah. They had taken a bunch of school children, sequestered them in this huge flat, like a parking lot, a huge amount of kids, and they all prayed for peace. I think if enough people focus on that, clear their minds, ground and centered. Do you know how many? I mean, that would take some doing.
Right.
But if you are able to have everybody do that, I think it's doable. I think it's possible.
Can I ask, Nikki, during this experiment or whatever, this thing where they took all these kids into this room, was that televised? Was that told to a lot of people that that's what they were doing?
I don't know. The article didn't talk about any of that. It talked about how they had been working at these schools. I had done some more research in it, so the article may not talk about this. I didn't post all the other articles that went with it that I came across after this. I should have. It's what I typically do when I get fascinated by a subject. But
because I'm just saying that, like, if enough people know that somebody's trying to cause a change or trying to affect something, like if it's broad stream, if everybody heard about this, or even a small population of people, well, they're going to act more peaceful or whatever it is at that time, because that's what.
So a preconceived thought
exactly.
process,
it's kind of like how everybody's more generous around Christmas time because of the fact that it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
You got to be more generous because that's what's been drilled into your head. So that's what you know.
These kids, from what I understand from all the different articles and there were not that many. I made it sound like there's a whole lot. There really wasn't. But they had them in their classrooms meditating. They meditated for a certain amount of time every day before this event. And that's how they got these kids to get into this mindset of, it's like praying for peace, but it's putting a specific energy out there. And based on what I believe and what I have physically and visually seen happen, you can manifest very specific things come to pass. And man, they're training these kids. I disagree with all the other stuff that they talked about, but the fact that you're training children at a young age to meditate, in my opinion, that needs to happen globally, because we'd stop a lot of crap that happens in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't necessarily be the perfect ideal thing, but, you know, a lot of the hardcore, dramatic, intense violence, I don't think we'd have as much of it. I really don't.
So Trip wants to know, before the event, how long was the time between the prayer and the meditation and the event?
Okay. The event, I think, was 6 months out, so they had been working for 6 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So I've told this on S4 before. You know, when I ran the pagan group in Blood, we wanted to try something. So we got online and we actually went to Witchvox. We went to other pagan websites, and we set a date, and we encouraged everyone in the pagan community to focus on that specific date. We helped them with time zones, the whole 9 yards. They all focused on peace in the Middle East. At that point in time and date and whatnot, we all sent a soldier to each corner of the installation we were on, basically setting up a large-scale altar of sorts.
Yeah, you're setting up a grid.
Huh?
You're setting up a grid.
Yep. And there was not a shot fired. There was not a mortar. There was absolutely nothing for 24 hours. And then, of course, it went back to normal. So, you know, but again, like you said, it took them 6 months to get anything done. It takes an immense amount of energy and focus to get a group of people together to focus on any one thing. And, you know, that's where the problem is. Nobody can focus past that specific amount of time. But it can be done.
Agreed. It can be.
Will it? It won't. That's just a sad reality. Dave, what's your second?
Yes.
What's your second question of the night?
Oh, you don't really want that, do you?
I do.
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing in regards to that. All right. My second question of the night has to deal with UFOs and cryptids and ghosts. Now, how can I deal with all three? Pretty easy. All right. There is a large contingent out there, and Eric, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum for a long time, who refuse to investigate anything but what their interest is. Mm-hmm. And yet what we are seeing out there is a lot of more stranger occurrences happening by the idea that we have a lot of continuity between experiences people are having. How long or what do we have to do to get the paranormal community to understand that everything is tied together? There aren't, like, ghosts are tied in with cryptids, and cryptids are tied in with UFOs, and UFOs are tied in with aliens and spirituality and consciousness, you know, because if you look at the big name investigators out there, they are now trying to figure out this appeal between mass consciousness and people claiming that they've flown UFOs, not just been abducted, but have actually flown UFOs. And yet, for the majority of people out there, they refuse to even look at that as a possibility in this field.
I think a lot of it goes back to you 2 years ago when you were, you know, and still are, all about the experiencer. You have to take the stories from the experiencer and try to find common ground. You know, has that alien abductee ever seen Bigfoot? Does that alien abductee have hauntings in their home? You know, and same with and what we found with FMP over the last 15 years was there was a lot of correlation in cases. There were the ones that have malevolent entities that had also been alien abductees, and some that had seen Bigfoot as well. You know, and I've seen the infighting you're talking about. You go to these paranormal groups on Facebook, and some say specifically UFOs and aliens, some say specific hauntings, some say specific paranormal. But you go in some of these other groups and you say anything about Bigfoot. Well, there's no such thing as Bigfoot. We only believe in hauntings. How can you not believe in one? How can you believe in one but not the other? You know, and same with the abduction sites. How can you not believe, you know, in alien existence without the possibility of something even more common? Because you don't hear so much about alien abductions in the paranormal field as you do hauntings. But how can you believe aliens exist, but you don't believe in the existence of spirits? You know. So how can we fix that? I don't have a good answer for you. But I believe it starts with the experiencer in seeing if there's correlations between their experiences. You got anything, Dad? What's your thoughts, Cole?
I don't know. My mind just went back to alien ghosts. That I'm still stuck on that.
We actually have a picture of an alien ghost. Eric, you were there that night.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was a ghost. That's a hard one. Because it's hard to differentiate, when it comes to aliens, it's hard to differentiate between whether that was a spirit or whether that was him showing up interdimensionally, but in between both. I mean, I don't know. I remember that picture.
Yeah, that would be difficult because you don't know what kind of actual technology they have and how they can appear to us.
I don't know if that was a ghost or not. I mean, possibly, yeah. I fully agree.
Well, I mean, the big thing is. Sorry, go ahead.
Try ghosts and aliens in Astro, coming from different dimensions and different levels.
Well, absolutely.
That's
Some alien races do go astrally,
yes.
as do all spirits and malevolent entities, and other things that humans haven't even encountered yet. Because there's dimensions that humans don't go, and will never go, and should never go. Because the minute you go into some dimensions, you will open a rift that you don't want to deal with what's on the other side of that rift. That's the bottom line. So I think I would agree astral is probably where you're going to find that correlation. And if not astral, multi-dimensions or other dimensions. You know, because is Bigfoot interdimensional? I think he is. I know you kind of you believe that too, Dave.
Yes, I do.
And I base that on a lot of different people's experiences with the cameras, with the fact that the footsteps disappear. You know, and I think a lot of it goes to, and we said this before, people need to pay more attention to the legends, to cultures, to Native American lore, First Nations lore. You know, they don't pay enough attention to oral history. Can oral history be manipulated? Sure, it can. You know, take the experiment with the line of people that get whispered one thing and it comes out completely different at the end of it. Oral history can be manipulated, but there's always a fact based on that oral history. You got anything to add to that? No? What do you think, Nikki?
I agree about the oral histories. Regarding Sasquatch being interdimensional, I'm still trying to figure that one out myself, but it makes more sense to me. I've got someone who says they're in Upper Colorado in a very large piece of property where there are numerous families of Sasquatch leave in October, end of October, and return at the beginning to mid-March, which always fascinates me no end. So, interdimensional, I lean more and more towards that, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I've never gotten an answer from the one that wants me to call her mama. I've yet to get an answer from her.
Right.
Although it's interesting because I get other answers from the lower downs, and I'm still yet to get an answer for you about how long they've been there behind his home. So, a lot of things to say on the other stuff, and it all went out of my head after I started talking about Sasquatch. Well, that's lovely.
Oh, welcome to my world. Don, what's your thoughts? Do you think there's a correlation between cryptid, paranormal, or UFO, alien, and hauntings?
Well, the correlation is that they're all hard to prove.
Agreed.
But I think that they can be one and the same. I think that maybe interdimensional travel explains a lot. So I don't know too much about this, like the overall field itself, but yeah, I think that interdimensional anything really, it kind of explains everything.
Agreed. And so, do you have a thought, Dave? How do we fix it? Would you agree experiences will be one way?
Oh, I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I kind of am right now because it's just there's so many different angles and theories out there that we just cannot understand and cannot fathom. I always tend to lean towards the experiencer side of things because I think it's a more honest approach to absolutely everything that we do. And when you have people who have had some real interesting type tales, you have to have some sort of belief in that. You can't just say, okay, that doesn't work for me because I don't believe that. I don't believe in crop circles. I don't believe in Sasquatch. I don't believe in fairies or gnomes or whatever it may be. You have to wake up and just say these people are having some sort of issue that we need to take a look at and run with it. And we don't do that enough. We don't take that time to understand the trauma, whether it's positive or negative, of the experience people are having, Eric.
Exactly. With that, I fully agree. And who do we want to end up with? So we have time for at least one, maybe two more questions. Who wants to take the last question of the night? Don?
I kind of ran out of mine.
Nikki?
Just what I was going to say. I can come up with one in a moment.
Oh.
Kind of hit all the topics tonight that I wanted to talk about, so,
We did bounce around a lot, and that's fine. I don't like hitting politics a lot because of the explosion that happens. Every once in a while we will hit politics, like tonight we did. Where do we think we're going to see a change at all in 2020 with the paranormal?
No.
We started out slow. And that's honestly, I guess, frustrating. It's frustrating for me because I just compare it to 2019 and even 2018. 2018 is when the New York Post came out talking about UFOs and the black budget involving UFOs, and you had Blink 182. I'm at a loss here.
Tom DeLonge.
Yeah. Tom DeLonge will come out in 2018. And then 2019, we had the big explosion for a long time with UFOs. And, the Navy came out with their investigations of UFOs. You had the first beginning discussion of the Space Force. I believe it was actually 2017 he brought that up. But, and it just seems... And, again, we're only in the first 19 days of the year. But I just remember the first 19 days of 2019, we were seeing a lot of activity.
Okay. Government is setting it up. We all know this. They're setting up the field for more to come. You asked if any of us believe, what's going to happen in 2020 if it's going to be more? No. I think it's going to slow down. This is not predictions. This is more along the lines of psychic intuition, not psychic visions. There's a big difference between the two for me.
Right.
I think they're slowly going to piecemeal more information out. I don't think it's going to come as any surprise to any of us that are in the paranormal field, what they're doing and what they present. To the general public who don't really pay attention, it's going to come as some surprise. But to us, it's going to be like, are you freaking kidding me? We've known this. What the hell? But I think it's going to slow down. If I'm wrong, it's going to go the exact opposite. And they're going to start popping out a lot more. And if that happens, in my opinion, that means they've got something major coming that they want to put out there. Something really big, and they've been setting it up for a bit, and if it goes fast, man, I don't know. I don't think it will. Instinct tells me it's not, but if my instinct is wrong, it's going to do the exact opposite.
So
anyway,
flipping for a minute though, Dave, you're more in the know than I am. Have you seen a rise in paranormal teams? Has there been any kind of rise in new paranormal groups coming out?
I don't think it's so much paranormal groups as it is. I think what we're starting to see is a lot more people investigating on their own. I think we're starting to see people who are branching off. They're tired of the political jargon. They're tired of the BS type rules and the power trips that people are having. Personally, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine just the other day, and he's like, my team isn't doing so well, and we need to. I'm debating what I should be doing for myself. I said, why even go on a team anymore? The politics are horseshit. I said, it's not worth your time. You're a better investigator on your own than you are with somebody else. Like, why go through it? And it's the camaraderie thing that right. He is more concerned about. But what we are seeing another insurgence of is another insurgence of podcasting people who are out there trying to put podcasts together about the paranormal and supernatural. Now that seemed to really die down for a little bit in 2019. It didn't seem to be as much of a creation, or 2018 into 2019, pardon me. But right. We're really starting to see it happen again now, where late last year going into this year, there's a lot of people talking about doing podcasts and getting into the podcasting game, which is I'm not sure if I like that or not. Not that I'm trying to be selfish and say, oh, you have to listen to me and nobody else, or listen to this show and nobody else. You know, I'm not trying to be that way at all. But there's a lot of crap out there. You know, there is a lot of crap out there that is not very good, and realistically, certain people shouldn't be allowed near a microphone. Let's just be honest.
I
all right?
fully agree. I fully agree.
And, you know, when you have that happening and you have that coming around, you know, people don't understand that broadcasting is an art form. And unless you've been in the media or you've been in real radio, or you've really paid attention to people that you know who've been in the field. I mean, Cooper, you and I you're not a radio guy, but you and I have talked for years about radio. And I know you're a guy who listens, and you're a guy who is going to pick up on the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs, and things like that. And I just get frustrated when I hear people out there trying to do this because they want to get their message out, which is always a good thing, but they have no clue, and they end up making a fool out of themselves, and it can hurt your reputation. If you're not good at it, don't do it. I'm not a ghost hunter. The only reason why I'm in this field is because I had my own experiences that I couldn't explain. I got a journalism background. I spent 10 years in radio. Okay, I'm not out here going on investigations because I'm not an investigator. I'll be the first one to admit I don't know what the hell is going on. I just want answers from my own experiences, and the only way I know how to do that is by asking pointed questions, by bringing my journalism degree out of Hawk,
right?
Because it was sitting dusty for a long time, and that's all I know how to do. I can't do anything else, right?
I fully agree.
And more people, I just wish they would stick to their wheelhouse rather than, you know, broadcasting is an art form. Okay, that may sound really cocky and brash. Frankly, don't care. You know, but it's an art form that's not for everybody. And when we have a bunch of people out there who are just trying to get their message out, I think that's a good thing. It's a strong thing for the community. But, you know, when you're tackling different shows, different timelines, or you're not sure what you're doing, you don't know how to bring on guests, you don't know how to find guests properly, okay, it shoots the whole field down. You have no idea, guys, how many times I've had guests over the years say, no, I don't do podcasts anymore, or I don't do radio shows anymore because I got burnt by this one that made me look like a fool. Because everybody thinks you got to try and be like Howard Stern out there, all right? And they make a fool and a mockery out of what we are doing, and it's not cool. It's not cool at all. And I'm tired of seeing people say to me, hey, I can't go on your show because I stopped doing radio because of the experience I had with a few of these so-called radio shows. Then I have to sit there and explain, okay, we're professional. We come with journalistic integrity, you know, people who actually know how to create radio and do interviews. We're not there to be anybody that we're not. We're there to be ourselves and tell your story. And eventually you're lucky enough to get them calmed down. But it takes a while because of the mess that a lot of these podcasters have created for the field as well. Now, that was long-winded. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Absolutely, though. But Trippin's got a question for you. Have you seen more gnomes than usual?
Yeah. You know what? That's actually a good question because, yes, I have. Yes, I have, Trip. And the reason why I have is at Christmas time, I actually had my daughter make me gnomes for Christmas. So I have 4 gnomes in the studio now because I'm one with the gnomes now. I'm one with the gnomes. And so, yeah. So I have no fear or fretting of the gnomes anymore.
That's good. You got to overcome your fear. I think,
Exactly.
and I know we've got like 8 minutes left in the show. I think we're going to see an insurgence in Fae.
Yes.
Just my opinion. They've been kind of increasing the last 2 years. Something's going on. Something's threatening them. Not sure exactly what it is yet. But I do think there's going to be an insurgence in the Fae, and we might need to address that.
Yep, I agree. They're buzzing around me an awful lot, and I know a couple of other psychics who have never had experiences with them. I never have. And I'm like, what is this literally buzzing around me? It is not alien. It's not, and it's small.
Mm-hmm.
And I started describing it to somebody who really knows, and I went, oh my God, when they told me. I went, you've got to be kidding me.
No, and that's an area, with the exception of, we've done fairy shows or fae shows on S4 a few times over the last 3 years. But it's really not an area that paranormal investigators or paranormal teams at all even look at. They're only focused on the spirits and the demons, oh my God, and the malevolent entities and things of that nature. They don't look at fae. You don't find that too many in teams.
Mm-mm.
All right, Dave, for those who haven't been in the chat, where are you going to be February 20th to the 23rd?
I will be speaking at UFOCon 2020 in San Francisco, California. It's got a lineup of about 20 speakers. Lorian Fenton, who's a good friend of Eric's and mine, has asked me to kick things off on Thursday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon with a power speech about Are You Ready?
Oh, hell.
So what that's going to be about, I have no clue yet. I just came up with a cool title. Are you ready?
I don't think anyone's ready, to be completely honest with you.
That's awesome, though. According to what we see, there's only 300 seats left, so get your tickets. It's UFOCon2020.com, so you can see Dave Scott live there.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
And he's a great speaker, guys.
Absolutely.
Go listen.
Oh, hands down. In S4, depending on which venue or which event we go to, we may be taking S4 to a haunted conference in Oregon.
Either in Oregon or Southern
or we'll
Washington.
go to the UFOCon here in not Port Gamble,
Ocean Shores.
Ocean Shores.
So keep an eye out for that, guys. We'll have things running out, so on Facebook and Twitter and all those fun places.
Yep, stay tuned. And that's going to happen in March. Those events are happening in March that we're looking at going to. Along with Skagit Valley Skagit Valley Fair. Here we go, in August. But, again, thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for the panel. Thank Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio. Don Davidson in California, our California consultant. And Nikki Jacobs, our psychic and UFO I-Team member. So next week we will talk about alien abduction in paranormal or in movies, with a big focus on Fire in the Sky. And if you need your taxes done, make sure you go to Zip Refund tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 1080 Darrington Street in Darrington, Washington. And if you're local, again, community meeting, 4 p.m., Concrete Community Center. So, y'all stay safe out there. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages. and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.